Bill's former cloud,
Yeah.
and so he's been up there. He bought property up there. They talked him into staying. So he bought property up there, but he can't find any UFO groups or anything like that.
It's a start one.
Jersey and North Carolina.
And so he's
Yeah,
trying
well,
to educate these people what
Yeah.
chemtrails are, and they don't see it. It's like, you're crazy, man.
Oh, it's unbelievable because you can see the difference between a contrail and a
Yeah.
chemtrail so easily.
Okay, gentlemen,
It's not even close.
Yeah.
we're gonna start. And we have the video on, so yeah, sure. I'm Chrissy McMahon, and thank you for coming. This is Andrew Norton Weber, and I first met him in Vilcabamba, Ecuador, where he presented his lecture on distilled liquids. He's very knowledgeable. He has a historical and a personal history knowledge of the effects and the benefits of distilled liquids. So I'm so honored to have him here, and I'm so grateful that you came to listen to what he has to say, because I think you're going to be very surprised at the wonderful knowledge you're going to gain. Thank you, Andrew.
Thank you, Chrissy, for supplying us the place. I had a yogi over to my house, and I treated him like a human Google machine for 2 hours, asking questions about herbs and crystals and raw foods and nuts and seeds. And I was all out of questions, and he was just kind of quiet, sitting there on the floor. And he just all of a sudden goes, you know, you can drink your urine and cure just about anything. And I go, what? And he goes, yeah, look up urine therapy. And that was all he ever needed to say to me. And I went to Amazon.com and punched it in, and bam, 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 all these books showed up. And I've since found 20 books from all over the planet. India, Australia, Germany, England, America. There's Chinese and Japanese books too, but I haven't acquired any of them. And none of them are really that big because the instructions are simple. You basically drink it and wash with it. And I completely educated myself about urine. For one, I couldn't believe what they were saying, but yet every small experiment I ever tried with it worked exactly as the book said it would. And I kept buying more books because I just wanted to understand how this was working. And I think there's a 5,000-year-old Egyptian document called the Water of Life, and it's a papyrus, and that's it right there. And the translation of it's here, and the very first line is the water of life is given to you. Drink it and wash your body. And that pretty much sums up how simple it is, and that we all have this mechanism. And it, for me, it much more speaks to our godliness, that we are, or whatever you call it, that we are the all-powerful creatures. And I believe a simple way of describing what we've lived in these whole lives here on planet Earth at this time is a vibrational war. Everything they've done to us, circumcision, vaccination, fluoridation, miseducation, chemtrails, heart, the overall effect of all of those things, even individually, is to distract you and to keep you away from knowledge of self and spirit. So, with a full education of it and witnessing all this horror and the decrepitude amongst my friends and family, I really wanted to tell everybody. And so for 5 years I was going around trying to tell people, oh, just drink your urine. But it doesn't go over very well. And early on I had been fooled in my conversation with that yogi, and he too did not know about distilled water. In his opinion, and in my opinion from the research I did afterward, mountain spring water was the best water there was, and spring water was next best, and then well water, because it had most minerals in it. And early on in studying distilled water, you come up against these, what turns out to be fake science pages, telling you do not drink distilled water because it will leach minerals from the body. And so I said, well, I can't do that. And they give you the description that it will leach calcium from your bones and you'll literally crumble. Or it'll take all the potassium out and you'll have a heart attack. So I didn't want to risk that. And I had a complete knowledge of urine therapy in my head when about, I don't know, 9 months ago now, I was reading this book by Hilton Hotema called Man's Higher Consciousness. And in it he has this one little section about distilled water. So first of all, who Hilton Hotema is he spent at least 30 years of his life traveling to the sites of the ancient mystery schools, and he's trying to piece back together all the information that he could and that had been stolen from us. And I thought I already knew about distilled water, but I said, okay, I'll read it anyways. And he said a line in there that distilled water dissolves mineral deposits. And that rang in my head because I remembered that in every one of the urine books there's a line akin to urine melts rocks and removes stones. And when he said that, it clicked that dissolving mineral deposits is the exact same thing as melting rocks. And there's also a line in every one of the urine books, even the super scientific ones published by CRC, that urine is more sterile than distilled water. Urine is even more sterile than your blood. But none of the urine books really talked about distilled water at all. It was just that one constant line, it's more sterile than distilled water. They're trying to prove how pure it is to you. And so with those two sentences in my head, that urine is more sterile than distilled water, nobody ever really called it distilled water, but it was more sterile than it. A light came on my head that it was the distilled water aspect of urine that was responsible for a lot of its powers. And I think that's another reason why, like I said, I bought so many books, is I was trying to figure out how is urine melting arthritis. You don't take a frozen hand and turn it like that. How is urine melting cataracts? You just put drops in your eyes and cataracts dissolve. How is urine whitening teeth? My teeth have turned, they're still a little bit yellow, but they've turned, they've definitely gotten less yellow. But not a one of them. And so what we're talking about right now, I have not seen printed anywhere. This is something that I put together, but it's just because I have this vast knowledge of what urine does to people. And then reading his line about what it does, everything he was listing about distilled water, I was going, wait, that's what urine does, that's what urine does, that's what urine does. And that's when I finally go, oh my God, that's how it's doing it. And it also proved is a way to get out of the fake science pages. Because if anybody goes to research distilled water without this vast knowledge of urine therapy, you're going to come up against two different types of science pages, real and fake. And the real ones are telling you that it will dissolve mineral deposits and it'll make you, feel fresh and it gives you oxygen and it's great for you. The fake ones scare you away from it. But you don't know whether or not to do it. It could be either one that's true. And so it turns out that the entire body of knowledge of all the case histories of urine therapy prove that, yes, distilled water does leach minerals from the body. But what is left out of these fake science pages is the very important distinction that there's two types of minerals. There's organic and inorganic. And we are only made out of organic minerals. And distilled water only leaches inorganic minerals from the body. And that's why they are keeping us away from it, because it's worth not only trillions of dollars worth of money, but more importantly to the people that are doing this, it's worth power to keep us all, again, away from knowing how to treat this body and keep it functioning. They got us clogged up with dirt, and we can't hardly think straight. We can't live past 60 or 70.